the fabled Red Penta, the Carmine Penta, the Chinese version of Warframe Penta. It was their version of the Bratton Vandal. It was available for, I think this was platinum, 1 platinum, whereas the Bratton Vandal was 1 credit. The Bratton Vandal, of course, being 1 credit back in, wow, late February, early March of 2013. The really early version of the Bratton Vandal. The original version, not the one that came later. It's the same weapon, but you can now build that in-game. Originally, you couldn't. It was locked away for a long time. That was the only weapon I wanted in the game. Now the only weapon I want will never return. But this is now in the game, and it will drop from the Derelict Freightlinkers on Corpus railjack missions. There are 4 parts in total: the receiver, the barrel, the stock, obviously the blueprint to put them together. Unlike Prime stuff, it doesn't require anything than the parts to actually build it, which is great, but it does take 12 hours to build. This thing has an extended magazine and a higher fire rate, so should be better, but obviously there is more than just the standard Penta to compare this thing to. So let's build this, rush this. I've got to stop spending my platinum on rushing things. Now here's the thing. It basically, there is the Sakura version, which is massively improved, has a magazine of 7, but did less damage, but had kind of less fall off, so it had a further travel distance, more status, more crit. The Penta, or the Sakura Penta, was just slightly better. You could see the magazine sticking out the bottom just that tiny little bit. Go back there. That's the standard one. This thing obviously had a magazine of 7, made it slightly better. This has a magazine of 10. And no matter how much I play with this, I cannot bring myself to put the extra 2 former in this. Right up until the point that I kind of decided to actually take a look at my normal Penta. I mean, the Carmine has little over 1,000 damage. This has... it's not actually going to show it. To be fair, are them the same stats that this thing had earlier? I am not sure of that, because wait. Am I imagining this? No, I am not. Look at the numbers in the bottom right from earlier. The normal Penta does 350. The Sakura does 300. And now I'm starting to wonder what the Carmine used to do. I don't know when this happened. It's been a day, and all of a sudden it's gone from 350 damage to over 400. Somebody needs to go to the release notes really quickly, and there is no mention of the Penta getting more damage in here. Or, because that was the first hot fix, the second one that actually fixed a lot of the fixes with the... fixed a lot of the bugs with the defense missions not being playable. Changed, removed a mod, fixed a bunch of stuff. Nothing in here mentions the fact that the Penta now has more damage. But you've seen it there. So I don't know what that's about. I cannot explain that. But for some reason, this thing now has more damage than it had when I built. Reason I cannot get myself to put more former in is, yes, okay, it has a magazine capacity that is great. With the 5 that you can leave on the floor means you can do it twice without reloading. Apart from the fact that this is a thing. Yes, that's right, 3. And of course, where did they go? They're down here. I can't fire anymore, because those 3 are actually 5. If you install multi-shot on this, basically you can get the same number out there, and you can hear me clicking trying to fire this. Nothing works, because, detonate them. This would be nicer if I could actually... That was 2, by the way. See if I can't get an arc to it. Nope. That means one of these is 3. I don't understand why it is installing them together, but it is. See if we can't get them to separate with an arc. That's 3 again. So, do the math. That was 8? No? Yeah, that was 3 times before I had to reload. Because multi-shot basically means these work so much better, but you can't fire again until you detonate them. That is the one thing I never really liked about the Penta that is fixable. And at this point, this is where I would spend the time putting more former into this, because now they detonate on point, which means the fire rate, the bigger magazine, all come into play, because you can basically spam fire this thing and it leaves a lovely area. But what I would really like to know is if that does actually have more of a radius to it with primed firestorm than anything else. This is where I would kind of copy the normal Penta's build, but it will need a fifth former in here. That is basically to put primed firestorm in to increase the blast radius, because what I would do, to be brutally honest, or what I'm planning on doing eventually, is, I keep going past that every time, I want this in here and this, but I can't fit both. Obviously for the extra damage that's on viral. The best thing about napalm grenades, the augment for this, if I take it out, you can see the heat damage turns to impact. Put it in, turns the impact to heat damage. So, yeah. Can you do simple math? 2,116 damage, put this in, 9,171. It converts the tiny little bit of impact into heat. It turns it into a napalm launcher. I love this mod. It's kind of a basically needed mod for this. And if you look at the status, it goes from 16 all the way up to 46. At that point, I decided, yep, I'm definitely going to former this thing. This video is all over the place because the stats have changed, and as soon as I actually equipped the normal one and remembered that existed, I decided, yes, I am definitely going to former this, but it's more than likely going to be 2 Vs, well, 3 Vs, a D, and a dash. So it's definitely going to have 5 former in it, but now it is so much better than it was before. There is something about installing this in here that just turns this into a much better weapon. But as you can see, it is having no problem whatsoever against level 100s. At all. And now I'm going to start having problems because that one little bit of knockback, and they're starting to come from the right again. It will of course suffer massively once you get to higher levels, but yeah, with ease. And this is where the 10 magazine comes into play. I'm also here because this is going to be the quickest way to demonstrate this thing's, I'm going to call it, second worst feature. If you look in the bottom right, you will notice it has pretty much no ammo left on it. Now I'm just going to spam fire this thing because, yeah, its biggest problem is it's a launcher, which means they will run out of ammo constantly. If you are going to run this thing all of the time, you basically want to have carrier. Not carrier, yes, because carrier has the ability to convert ammo, and that is going to be really useful for things like this because, well, launchers run out of ammo really quickly. I much prefer this thing in with napalm grenades installed. But I think that's about it because the Penta has been around for a long time. The Sakura is definitely better, but this thing, if you put napalm grenades in it, that 10 magazine makes a lot more sense. It will require something like 5 formers, but multi-shot is going to obviously increase the damage of this again because, well, at the moment it doesn't have that in there because I have those 2 empty mod slots because I wasn't going to former this. That was not the plan. I basically was just going to shelve this thing at 2 former and leave it as it is. Before I die, I think would actually better leave here really quickly because that Acolyte was a bit of a pain to take down. Turns out, not so affected by gas. But with that, I think we'll leave this off here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.